Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Barbara?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you. We have some housekeeping issues that'll be very brief on this morning or this evening. First of all, our counsel to the board has expressed to me that he'd like to spend more time with his family, and so he will not, we'll find another person there to be counsel to the board. Second of all, we had a member of the board that's resigned, Carl Yellen, and I want to thank both of them for the number of years that they've spent there on the board, and they were both very helpful. And with that, I have one more request, and that is my vice chairman for the coming year, and it'll be the person that's been my vice chairman this year, and that's Adam Oshrin, who's over at the end of the table over here. With that, I had a request from one of the councils for very briefly there to make a request there for so that he just wants to have a hearing at a later date, and he just wants us to okay that hearing. So, Mr. Tramarko, will you address the board?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tramarko. I represent the applicant. I respectfully request the board grant us a hearing. It's with respect to Decanio Management Corp. and his pretty recent payment of $6,967 to the town of Smithtown. And we'd like to show at that time that it's really a state issue, and basically we want that money back. So I'll set a date with Frank DeRubius, and we'll be back and give you our evidence.
Any objections from the board?
No objections for me.
Right? All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Blaze, we'll go on with the meeting now.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. First item on the agenda, the Planning Department recommends the following items for adjournment, as we have insufficient information to act upon. Part 1, Item 1, number 2011-01, All Seasons Motor Lodge. Item 2, number 2012-04, Storybook Homes. Item 3, number 2012-02, Carlson Associates. Item 4, number 2009-05, FB4 Realty. Item 5, number 773, Scholar Estates. Item 6, the 288 application of Olivia Estates. Part 2, Item 7, number 2010-06, KVC Holdings. Item 8, number 911A, Glen Hill Northern. Item 9, number 1094, Mystic Falls. Item 10, the transfer of development right application for VIP Real Properties. Mr. Chairman, these are the items the Planning Department recommends for adjournment.
Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on those items to be adjourned?
I was going to make Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York. I was going to make a request on the sidewalks that we reopen that on Mystic
Yes,
Falls.
we're going to handle that. We've got that request down at the bottom of the agenda, Mr. King.
Okay, thank
you. And we'll package that with your other requests.
Thank you.
Okay? Anybody else? A motion there on the adjournments.
Motion to adjourn the items that were just read.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Mr. Chairman, we'll now move on to Part 3 of the agenda, Item 11. Number 1013, Hamlet Woods, Sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes. And, Mr. Chairman, these are actually 4 separate applications that the Planning Department has combined into one memorandum.
Okay.
The applicant requests to extend the performance bonds for all 4 sections of the subdivision for a period of 2 years in order to obtain more time to complete construction and all necessary improvements within the subdivision known as Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, sections 1 through 4. The applicant received conditional preliminary approval for this 167-lot subdivision from the Planning Board on March 17, 2004. The applicant received conditional final approval for sections 1, 2, 3, and 4 with performance bond estimates from the board on August 4th, September 1st, and November 17, 2004, and April 21st, 2010, respectively. Section 1 was approved for 8 lots with a performance bond estimate in the amount of $529,501. Section 2 was approved for 69 lots with a performance bond estimate of $1,809,245. Section 3 was approved for 50 lots with a performance bond estimate of $570,702, and Section 4 was approved for 40 lots with a performance bond estimate of $702,365. The applicant submitted the bond monies and all related materials to the town, and the town board accepted the performance bonds on August 9th, September 14th of 2004, August 9th of 2005, and October 20th of 2010. Planning board approval for the performance bonds expired on September 14th, September 28th, December 12th, and October 20th of 2012. The applicant submitted the performance bond extension applications to the Planning Department on December 3rd, and the applicants were distributed to all departments concerned for review. The Engineering, Highway, and Traffic Safety Departments have no objection to the performance bond extension requests and have determined that the bond amounts are sufficient to cover all remaining improvements. Planning has performed an on-site inspection of the entire subdivision and determined that all of the required public improvements have not been completed. Additionally, all of the homes have not been constructed. A total of 76 homes have been constructed in sections 1, 2, and 3, and 6 homes have been constructed in section 4. Therefore, the Planning Department has no objection to the applicant's request. The Planning Department offers the following resolutions for the board's consideration. Be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves a retroactive extension of the performance bond for Section 1 of the subdivision known as Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, for a period of 2 years to expire on September 14, 2014. Be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves a retroactive extension of the performance bond for Section 2 of the subdivision known as Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, for a period of 2 years to expire on September 28, 2014. Be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves a retroactive extension of the performance bond for Section 3 of the subdivision known as Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, for a period of 2 years to expire on December 12, 2014. And be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves a retroactive extension of the performance bond for Section 4 of the subdivision known as Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, for a period of 2 years to expire on October 20th, 2014. Mr. Chairman, this is the Planning Department's recommendations for all 4 sections of the Hamlet at St. James, number 1013, and Planning would just like to remind the board that the board does have to vote on 4 separate resolutions.
Is there anyone here representing the applicant? Would you come to the microphone and give your name and address, please?
My name is Saul Goodhart, and our offices are at 255 Executive Drive, Plainview, New York.
Okay, you understand what we're going to do? 4 separate resolutions there for okaying.
Okay?
Okay? Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on these applications? Members of the board, any questions? If not, have an individual motion for each one of these from 1 through 4.
In the matter of Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, Section 1, I move that we adopt the resolution as read in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
In the matter of Hamlet Estates at St. James, Section 2, number 1013, I move that we adopt the resolution as read in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
In the matter of Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, Section 3, I move that we adopt the resolution as read in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
And as to Hamlet Estates at St. James, number 1013, Section 4, I move that we adopt the resolution as read in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. We thank you.
Who do I give these affidavits to?
You have the affidavit of posting?
Yes.
Would you
Ready.
give it to Blaze or Mr. DeRubis? You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we'll now move on to the next item on the agenda under Part 3, Item 12, number 1094, Mystic Falls. The applicant requests to amend the conditions of approval in order to change the delineation of the conservation easement within the subdivision known as Mystic Falls number 1094. The map of Mystic Falls was granted conditional final approval by the Planning Board on June 20th, 2007. This application was approved for a 6-lot subdivision fronting on the north side of a town road known as Edgewood Avenue and on a proposed cul-de-sac to be known as Celestial Court. At that time of final approval, conditions were placed on the map to be filed that required the applicant to install fencing along the boundary line of the conservation easement that was created behind lots 2 through 6. Specifically, conditions N and O state, a permanent 3 to 6 foot fence shall be installed and maintained along the boundary lines between lots 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the open space to be dedicated to the town, so as to minimize the potential damage to open space by adjoining property owners and shown on the map to be filed. This fence shall be maintained by the HOA POA. O, the HOA POA property shall be submitted to the Planning Department prior to filing the map. This HOA POA shall include but not be limited to the following. 1, only one fence shall be permitted installed at the rear boundary line of lots 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2, any change to the fence must be requested and approved by the HOA POA and the Planning Board. In lieu of installing the fence, the applicant proposes to install posts with signs along the rear property boundaries of lots 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The signs will identify the open space as Town of Smithtown property. A copy of the proposed signage is attached to your memorandum. A similar request was recently made for another subdivision known as Berg Estates, number 1053A, which the board approved the use of signs and posts to delineate the open space in lieu of bollards. The Engineering, Highway, and Traffic Safety Departments have no objection to this waiver request. The Planning Department has performed an on-site inspection of the subdivision and determined that the required fencing would provide more protection to the open space than posts and signs. The open space is primarily environmentally sensitive land that is slopes in excess of 15% and should not be disturbed. The fencing would prevent adjoining property owners from entering and damaging the open space or leaving debris on the land. Therefore, the Planning Department objects to the applicant's request. The Planning Department recommends the board make this application the subject of an on-site inspection. Mr. Chairman, this is the Planning Department's recommendation for Mystic Falls, number 1094.
Thank you. And Mr. Klein, Mr.
Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York. He's correct on Berg Estates. You guys waived the fence. It worked out well. Vinny just advised me when Frank Caridley came on Landing Avenue, you allowed him to put up posts. So we'd ask you to, if you have to do an on-site, this extra expense is crazy. We can put a post up, a fence to nowhere again. So I'd ask that if you're going to do an on-site, please follow the precedent of Berg and Frank Caridley in waiving it.
The size of that parcel, you know, is quite a bit larger than what was at Berg.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that I think we want to do an on-site on and
Okay.
get some information on. The other request that you made there was for the same application to be able to waive the sidewalks.
Right, I didn't show up for the meeting because I was told not to come, and then the board made a determination that 4 of the houses had to be built. If you recall, there's a sidewalk that runs along the south side of Edgewood all the way down to the school, and if you guys took a look at this, putting a sidewalk to nowhere, a sidewalk to heaven, which will never be completed because of the trees on the north side of the road, is costing him 13 big ones. And we propose that we give the town $2,500 towards the sidewalks, and you waive that requirement and waive the requirement of waiting until 4 houses are built, which could be, in this economy, in the year 14,000. This is a useless sidewalk to nowhere. If you ever drive along Edgewood, as I have, you see very few people even exercising or walking along the south side. There's no need for this. And as I said, he's done. He's completed all of his requirements internally on the site, and he wants to get off the bond, and we'd like a decision one way or the other. And if you can accommodate us, and he'll give you the 2,500 big ones for the sidewalk on the north side to nowhere, or to heaven.
Okay.
Is there any way we can get $2,500 and not restrict it towards this particular, because I agree, I don't think a sidewalk will ever be built here. So to take any money makes no sense to me. So something is better than nothing, in my opinion.
Well, even if it was the offer, can the money be, they have two funds in town. They have the ones that are dedicated like this to the site. Then they have the one that the highway department is responsible for sidewalks. Is there any way that the money, if he was agreeable to it, that could be transferred to the highway department budget if we decided to go that way?
The answer is yes, if it's voluntary.
Okay.
Okay. So could we pass a resolution tonight on Mystic Falls to reopen the hearing and rule in that effect?
Well, I had spoken to him before about putting everything together as one
Okay.
package after we've done the on-site.
Okay,
Will Mr. Fox be at the next hearing with you?
yes, he will.
Okay.
So
So that we'll take both of them at the same time and handle them, and that way we can discuss among ourselves what we want to do with the sidewalks, okay?
that's great.
Do we have to move to reopen the hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Can we do this quickly?
Yeah. let's
Well,
do it right now.
If I could state this, the only advertisement that we had for tonight's hearing was for the fence waiver. So what we can do is if the board's going to do an on-site for both items on your part, we will advertise for the next meeting, and that will actually be the formal hearing to reopen the issue for the sidewalk, because we should allow these items to be announced and advertised.
Okay.
So I'll do that for the next meeting, and then the board could render a decision at that
So
meeting.
there's been no advertisement for the sidewalks for tonight, so we're going to wait till the next time so you can advertise.
That's correct.
All right?
So what does the motion have to
Yes, sir.
say tonight?
Well, the motion is basically you're adjourning it for an on-site inspection,
on-site.
and that you will open up both public hearings at the
Okay.
next meeting.
All right.
So what we'll do is, tonight we'll do the on-site for the hearing on the posts and so forth. We'll do the on-site, and we'll let the audience, if there's anybody in the audience, let them have any statements, and then there we'll go from there for setting up the next meeting,
Thank you very much.
okay?
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to talk on this application? Anybody? Okay, a motion therefore Mystic Falls for an on-site on the 1094 for the signs and the fence, and the request therefore, the sidewalk review will be advertised and brought up at the same time. So a motion for the on-site.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to Mystic Falls, number 1094, I move that we adjourn the matter for an on-site inspection regarding the fencing issue as well as the sidewalk issue.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Opposed? So ordered.
Now, do we have to move, we don't have to make any further motions? Okay.
We'll take care of it.
All right.
Yeah, because it hasn't been advertised for the sidewalks.
Okay.
So we can't really do anything.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the next item on the agenda, under Part 3, Item 13, an amendment of lot line application for Maymark LLC. Mr. Chairman, before I begin reading the memorandum, I would just like to remind the board that this applicant has actually been present before the board at a prior application regarding the transfer of development rights for this property. It's located in Fort Salonga on Route 25A and Sunken Meadow Road. The applicant is requesting an amendment of lot lines for the properties located on the north side of Sunken Meadow Road, 637.5 feet south of New York State Route 25A, Fort Salonga, to transfer property from Suffolk County Tax Map Number 6-1-6 to Suffolk County Tax Map Number 6-1-7. The modification will transfer property from Lot Number 6 to Lot Number 7. The land is zoned R43, single-family residential, 43,560 square feet minimum. Both properties are irregular in shape and front on Sunken Meadow Road and New York State Route 25A. The lot line amendment, would transfer approximately 15.04 acres from Lot Number 6 to Lot Number 7. Presently, Lot Number 6 is approximately 21.17 acres, and Lot Number 7 is approximately 6.46 acres. After the proposed lot line amendment, Lot 6 would be approximately 6.13 acres, and Lot Number 7 would be approximately 21.5 acres. This proposal is in conformance with the Town of Smithtown zoning ordinance, since both lots would exceed the minimum lot area requirement for the R43 zoning district after the amendment of lot lines. The amendment is requested because the applicant wants to redesign the existing lots into two more conventional shapes. The Planning Department has no objection to this request, since a new buildable lot is not being created. The Planning Department offers the following resolution for the Board's consideration. Be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby approves an amendment of lot lines for the properties known as Suffolk County Tax Map Numbers 6-1-6 and 6-1-7, so as to convey approximately 15.04 acres from Lot Number 6 to Lot Number 7 by the survey prepared by Nelson and Pope, licensed surveyors, dated April 2012, subject to the following conditions. 1, this amendment of lot lines shall be filed in the office of the Suffolk County Clerk. 2, the applicant shall submit copies of all filed documents, including deeds with meets and bounds descriptions, with date stamp and file numbers, to the Planning Department. Mr. Chairman, this is the Planning Department's recommendation for the amendment of lot line application for Maymark LLC.
Is there anyone representing the applicant?
Yes, good evening. John Breslin, 44 Elm Street, Huntington, on behalf of the applicants, which are Maymark LLC and Fort Salonga LLC. As this was described, this applicant is essentially just moving lot lines on two properties to create more conventional shapes. It also helps with the allocation of the development rights amongst the two corporate entities that own the property, and that's one of the other reasons that they're doing it. There's no other plans with respect to the property. We're still looking to market the development rights. There's no plans at the present time to do anything other than to do that with the properties. And that, I'm saying that to alleviate perhaps concerns of some people in the audience as to why we're here or why we're doing it. But it's merely just to make the shapes more conforming and to allocate those TDRs amongst the two individual properties. And that's and within the two corporate structures. That's the reason for it. I have the affidavit posting, which I'll hand up. Are there any other questions?
Okay, no, not for me.
Okay, thank you.
Why don't you just hold on a minute till we find out, though, if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to hear on this. Anybody in the audience that wishes to be heard on this application? I just have one question, Frank, on the TDRs. Oh, do you want to, would you come up to the mic and give your name and address, please?
Peter and Sarah, 19 Williamsburg Drive, Port Salonga. I would just like to know if that's a change to the last meeting where they were planning with the developmental rights. Is that going to have any effect on that?
I have a question there on the TDRs. Does that affect what was put aside for the TDRs?
No, actually, this is to facilitate it. If you recall, the board approved a yield map that was for that particular property, and this, and when we retire the development rights, we have to file restrictive covenants based upon a deed description, and this new line will be the first section that we will have TDRs filed under. So it's to facilitate the TDRs.
All of these corrections there will be noted in the deed when it's filed with the county, so that the TDRs that were granted will still be in effect, and they'll be shown on the deed, and any time after the deed is filed, you'll be able to go down and note and see Mr. DeRuis if you want to see the actual outlines of the deed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay. INSERRA.
Anybody else that wishes to speak on this? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did you say you had a question?
This gentleman here, I think, wants to, did you say you want to speak? No?
Did you
Okay?
say- Yeah, did you say you had a question? Or was that, did
No,
Mr.
that's it
Durubius
there.
answer?
We're just there. We'll approve now
Thank you.
the transfer. A motion there for the approval of the lot lines for the application. Baymark property of Fort Salonga.
In the matter of the amendment of lot lines for the properties known as Suffolk County Tax Map Numbers 6-1-6 and 6-1-7, motion to adopt the resolution is read in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's what they were here for. You have no idea. You have no idea. Mr. Chairman, we can now move on to the next item on the agenda under Part 3. Item 14, number 2012-06, Bola LI Development Corp. Mr. Chairman, I would just like to remind the board members that attached to the back of your memorandums are aerial photographs, zoning maps, and also an illustration of the site.
Thank you.
The Planning Board will conduct a public hearing this evening, January 16th, 2013, to consider the above-referenced petition for a change of zone from R10, residential single-family, 10,000 square feet minimum, to neighborhood business, to permit the subject site to be developed for a filling station with a convenience store in conjunction with an adjacent lot that was formerly used as the filling station. The site is a .43 acre parcel that fronts New York State Route 111, immediately north of New York State Route 347. The subject site is composed of 4 separate tax lots, 2 from a former paper street, 1 vacant lot, and a lot with an unoccupied house, to be developed in conjunction with the adjacent lot to the south, a site of a former repair garage and truck rental business that is currently closed. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from R10 to NB in order to combine this lot with an adjacent lot zoned NB to develop a filling station with a convenience store. As a side note, the petition includes a tax lot number 52 that is adjacent to the lot zoned NB in the request, but lot 52 is not subject to the change of zone request, which is outlined on the aerial that's attached to your packet. This is a request to amend the comprehensive plan. The entire site proposed for development was designated for residential use at the inception of zoning in 1932. It is composed of 5 tax lots. 2 lots were created by the abandonment of a paper street and are now vacant. A third has remained vacant, and the 4th is developed with an unoccupied single-family home. These are tax lot numbers 57, 56, 50, and 49 respectively, and shall be referred to herein as lots 49 plus. The 5th lot, number 52, is the site of a closed filling station. Immediately east of the site is a jug handle traffic triangle for the northbound turns onto New York Route 111, from the westbound lanes of New York Route 347. To the northeast across Route 111 is a filling station with a convenience store in NB zoning and a small shopping center in shopping center business zoning. To the west is the site of the former Community Hospital of Western Suffolk, which is currently zoned R6 for townhouse, 7,260 square feet minimum. That has not been developed. To the immediate north of the site are two-lot zoned office building developed with a professional office building. Farther north are properties zoned R10 and developed with single-family homes. To the south is the intersection of Route 347 and Route 111 and a jug-handle traffic triangle to allow for eastbound traffic onto New York State Route 347 to turn to go northbound on Route 111. Adjacent to the triangle at the south, there are retail businesses in NB and central business zoning. On the southeast corner of New York State Route 111 and Route 111, there is an office building and a diner in the office building zoning. Suffolk County Tax Map number 52, which shall be referred to here as lot number 52, will be developed in conjunction with lots 49 plus. The zoning for lot number 52 was changed in 1957 to E-Business, now designated NB. The lot was developed with a filling station that was later used as a repair garage and truck rental business, uses that are not permitted in the NB zone, although the certificate of occupancy still lists the site for a filling station. There has not been a business in operation on lot number 52 for a number of years. Lot number 52 has been the subject of two former changes of zone. In 1957, petition number 57-16, there was a request for a change to what is now designated NB zoning. The Planning Board recommended denial of the change, questioning the need for more commercial zoning at this location, traffic concerns at this intersection, and the appearance of the highway. The Town Board, however, approved the petition to change the zoning. In 1999, petition number 99-9, there was a request for a change of zone to wholesale and service industry to legalize the repair garage and truck rental business that was then operating on the lot. The petition was denied by the Town Board in 2006, in part because of concerns about traffic circulation, questions on the need for additional WSI zoning at this location, and concerns about the potential impact on surrounding uses. A change in the zoning for a specific parcel is approved when, in the judgment of the Town Board, the requested change will be consistent with the comprehensive plan in that it will benefit the town. Approving a change of zone whose principal benefit is to the property owner is considered spot zoning, which is not the legal basis for a zone change. The board should consider whether there is a need for additional NB or any other commercial zoning at this location, whether there is a need for an additional filling station at this location, whether safe access to the proposed filling station can be provided given the configuration of the intersection, and whether the proposed development may have a negative impact on the traffic circulation on routes 347 and 111. Neighborhood business zoning is intended to provide retail and office space to serve a neighborhood area. These are intended to be relatively small zoning districts with retail stores, perhaps with offices as well, located as needed to provide limited commercial services for adjacent neighborhoods. In this location, there is existing retail space on the northeast and southwest corners of this intersection and on the east side of Route 111 south of Route 347 in NB, CB, and SCB zoning to provide for the needs of local residents as well as of passing traffic. There is an existing filling station with a convenience store located across Route 111 immediately north of the subject site, located at the Jug Handle Triangle. The intersection of routes 347 and 111 is heavily traveled and has a complex design to handle the traffic movements. Any developments of lots 49 plus, in conjunction with lot number 52, will have traffic issues because of the location. Filling stations with convenience stores are designed to feed off the traffic so that when traffic volume is high, the use of the site is high. The board should consider whether the impact of such movements on and off this site is warranted. An illustration attached to this memorandum shows the proposed site plan for the combined lots of 49 plus and 52, superimposed on an aerial photograph of the intersection and surrounding area. The north access drive for this site would be on Route 111, and the south access would be on Route 347 according to the plan. Vehicles traveling south on Route 111 would have access to the site, though traffic exiting the site at this driveway will have problems in that the backup of traffic routinely extends back to the light at the traffic triangle. Additionally, traffic heading west on Route 347 would have access via the south access point. This is one of the specific concerns about the safety. This is a congested intersection, and traffic often queues up in the southbound lane of Route 111, waiting for the traffic signal to permit the turn onto Route 347. These cars often make the turn to head west and expect to be able to accelerate quickly and move into the flow of traffic. The location of the south driveway so close to this turning traffic represents an ongoing safety concern, with cars entering or exiting the site potentially in conflict with the flow of traffic. Any access from the northbound lane of Route 111 will also tend to be contrary to the flow of traffic, potentially creating both safety and traffic circulation problems. It is unlikely that eastbound traffic on Route 347 would have any access to the site. If this site is to be developed with any use with access onto routes 347 and 111, it will be important to prohibit left turns in and out of the site, and perhaps other turns as well, to reduce the potential for traffic congestion and crashes. Finally, as noted previously, there is already an existing filling station with a convenience store that could handle traffic from Route 111, both north and southbound, as well as westbound traffic on Route 347. Given that the station is set back from the intersection, it appears to operate with minimal impact on traffic movements at this intersection. Since most of the motorists' needs are being met, it is not clear why we would want to add another use with high impact on traffic movements at this site. The following response, dated August 7th, 2012, has been received from the Suffolk County Planning Commission. Pursuant to the requirements of Sections A 14-14 to 23 of the Suffolk County Administrative Code, the above referenced application, which has been submitted to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, is considered to be a matter for local determination, as there is no apparent significant countywide or intercommunity impacts. A decision of local determination should not be construed as either an approval or disapproval. Attached to your memorandum is a copy of the traffic study that the petitioner has provided to the Planning Department.
Yes, sir. Would you give your name and address?
I will, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is David Altman. I'm from the law office of Brown and Altman, LLP. The address for the firm is 510 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 110, Melville, New York. And I'll ask the board to indulge me a little bit. I am fighting the plague of cold that is going around right now, so voice is a little hoarse. Mr. Chairman, we've reviewed the Planning Department memo with respect to the proposed application, and there are a number of points or questions raised therein which we'd like to address here this evening. But before I do that, I just wanted to introduce those who are accompanying me here tonight and are also going to be speaking on behalf of the applicant. First, with me this evening is Harry Singh. Harry is the president of BOLA Operating Corp. LI, the applicant this evening. With me also is Chris Tartaglia from High Point Engineering. Chris is the civil engineer. And Charles Olivo from Stonefield Engineering, the firm that prepared the traffic study, which has been submitted to you folks. As noted in the planning memo, and as you probably get a little better flavor for the area from the aerial photograph I have on the easel. As noted on the aerial photograph that I have here on the easel this evening, the intersection of Route 111 and 347 is predominantly, and it is a commercial corridor. The subject site is actually divided into two parcels. The northerly parcel, which is the subject of this application, is currently zoned R10. Right now it's improved with a single-family residential dwelling. That dwelling happens to be vacant. I think that's for obvious reasons. It's simply not marketable given its location in a commercial corridor as a residential use. The southerly lot, as noted by the Planning Department, is a former site of a gasoline service station, also used for automotive repairs, and then I believe truck rentals as well. That site has been vacant for many, many years. Given the location of the site at a major intersection within this town and its visibility, it arguably is a blighted site which is in need of improvement and would certainly enhance, among the economic benefits to the town and the residents of this town, the appearance of this intersection and the perception of motorists and the residents of the town itself. Now, the parcel which was used as a gas station is now zoned NB, neighborhood business. That was apparently upzoned on or about 1957. The adjacent parcel to the north is occupied with an office use, and I believe it's medical office, if I'm not mistaken. And then further north along the west side of Route 111 is single-family residential development, which is R10 zoning. Immediately adjacent to the subject site, including the parcel which is the subject of the rezoning application, as noted, is the site of the former Community Hospital of Western Suffolk, which is now vacant, although I know that there have been various discussions in terms of development. It is at present zoned R6. I understand that some of those discussions have centered on perhaps non-residential development. Further west along Route 347, you have office, and then on the south side of Route 347, you have the TD Bank, you have a major shopping center, moving further west. To the southwest corner, you have a diner, and then moving back across the street on the northeast corner, as noted, there is an existing filling station on a somewhat substantially smaller parcel, and then a strip center further north and east. The area itself is arguably entirely or predominantly commercial, such that this remaining parcel, which is the subject of the rezoning application here tonight, stands by itself as the only single-family residential parcel in the area. It's completely incongruous with the pattern of development and the zoning of the neighboring parcels. Now, just a little bit of information about the property itself. The combined area of the two lots is approximately 43,249 square feet. The NB parcel is approximately 22,345, and the parcel which is the subject of the rezoning application tonight is approximately 20,904 square feet, or 48.3% of the overall application. Approximate lot frontage on Route 111 is 260 feet, and lot frontage on 347 is approximately 140 feet. Now, with respect to the town's comprehensive plan and the applicant's application, so to speak, to change that comprehensive plan based on this change of zone application, the original comprehensive plan, going back to 57, is silent with respect to this particular area of the town, and largely with respect to commercial development itself, as is, I believe, the 61 update. Now, Mr. DeRubius was gracious enough to provide me the other day with a copy of the most recent draft supplement to the town's comprehensive plan, and while I understand it's not been adopted yet, it does offer some meaningful guidance in terms of the patterns of development within the town, and frankly, the need to redevelop, to change the zone and redevelop this piece. And I'd like to, with the board's indulgence, just read some of that information into the record. Okay. The first section of the 2010 supplement is entitled Goals of the Comprehensive Plan. Part of those goals is to improve the local economy in terms of business activities, taxes, employment, and property values so as to provide an attractive, affordable, and livable community. And also to meet existing trends in land use and for the town to remain competitive and economically viable in the 21st century. Moving on, Section 5 of the draft comprehensive plan, which is entitled Economic Resources Study, has some rather telling figures and notes contained therein with respect to the various commercial zoning districts in the town, in particular NB. In the NB zoning district of the town, there are 21 parcels used for gas stations and auto body repair, consisting of approximately 8.77 acres, or 2.9% of the parcels zoned NB in the town. There are approximately 106 vacant NB zone parcels. This, again, southern parcel being one of them, consisting of approximately 47.52 acres, or 15.6% of the NB zone lots in the town. Approximately 8.7% of the NB zone lots are actually used for residential purposes. Of the town's 3 major business districts, NB has the greatest percentage of vacant and residentially utilized lots. There are approximately 304 acres of NB zone property in the town, of which approximately 162 acres, or 53%, are below the median assessed value for NB parcels in the town. Arguably, rezoning this parcel would not only restore the entire site to the tax rolls as a developed ongoing piece, it would greatly increase the real property taxes generated from the site. It would throw off additional sales taxes as well as other taxes from the sale of convenience items. And in addition, it would provide at least 4 full-time jobs, both to operate the gasoline station and the convenience store. So toward that end, it does serve the greater good of the town as a whole to actually rezone the parcel, allowing for the full redevelopment of both lots. In addition, it would remove what is essentially a blighted parcel and develop it with a brand new, aesthetically pleasing property. Actually, I have an example of a site that Mr. Singh just built that was approved out in Brookhaven, out in Mount Sinai. It just opened earlier this year. And while he's certainly open to certain recommendations in terms of architecture and design, this is sort of an example of what the site would look like in terms of greenery and the style of the convenience store. So, in that, toward that end, I'm at this point going to ask Chris Tartaglia from High Point to step up and give you folks a little more detailed overview of the proposed design. Chris? Oh, and Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm going to hand up the affidavit of mailing, affidavit of posting, along with the receipts.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chris Tartaglia. That's Tartaglia. I'm principal of the firm High Point Engineering. Office address 521 Conklin Street, Farmingdale, New York, 11735. And I'm the civil engineer, site engineer for the project on behalf of the applicant. Planning staff and Dave have done a great job of describing the immediate area and the existing conditions, so I'm just going to call out some of the high points of the proposed site plan and some of the facets and features of the proposed development, just to ensure that there's an understanding of what we're proposing. What we have proposed as far as a development here is a state-of-the-art gasoline station with convenience store. There are no auto repairs proposed. We are proposing a 1,200 square foot convenience store along the westerly side of the lot. There will be a canopy located along the Smithtown Islip Road or Route 111 frontage, as well as the Route 347 frontage. There will be 8 pump islands beneath that canopy. There will be a total of 16 fueling positions provided beneath that canopy. Flanking the building to the left and the right will be parking stalls. Specifically under the code, there are 12 parking stalls required for a 1,200 square foot building. We are providing 12. That includes 1 ADA accessible handicap parking stall. Other site features: on site, a trash enclosure will be located immediately to the north of the building, which will be basically shielded by the building. There will be a substantial amount of landscaping flanking the entire perimeter, as you can see from the colored site plan that I have to my left, there will actually be 13,717 square feet of landscaping proposed. As was mentioned previously, the total site area is just shy of 1 acre at 43,249 square feet. The important point being that 31.7% of this lot will be landscaped. Essentially, the only portions of the lot that will not be landscaped are those which are not covered by a structure or a parking stall or a required access aisle. With regard to site access, we are proposing, as was mentioned by planning staff, one curb cut on Route 347, which will allow right turns in and right turns out, another curb cut on Route 111, which will allow left and right turns in and right turns out. The application has been sent to the New York State Department of Transportation, and we do await their commentary. Other site features, there will be two 15,000-gallon double-wall fiberglass underground storage tanks. They will be located along the northwesterly corner of the parcel. They're located in such a manner that the tanker truck, when he's making deliveries, can pull onto the site and sit completely out of the way from interfering with any on-site circulation or traffic movements. More minor items, there are freestanding signs proposed, one along the Route 111 curb cut, one adjacent to the Route 347 curb cut. And just one of the items I would say in closing with regard to the proposed site plan is that we have, again, almost 1 acre of property. This is a large property for a gasoline service station. It's good to have a large property to design a gasoline service station on, specifically because we're able to provide significant circulation aisles to accommodate the anticipated traffic that will be on this facility so that vehicles can move onto the facility and off of it without any hesitation or conflict. We do have a traffic engineer with us, Charles Olivo. He will make commentary with regard to traffic, so I don't want to steal any of his thunder. And with that, we'll be here to answer any questions with regard to the site plan, but if not, I believe we will bring up Mr. Olivo.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Charles Olivo. For the record, O-L-I-V-O. I'm the owner of Stonefield Engineering and Design, which is located at 1601 Veterans Highway in Islandia. And Mr. Tartaglia has done a very good job of explaining some of the on-site features here, as well as touching on the access. And as we've heard in prior discussion, there are some concerns which I believe have been expressed with regard to traffic. So I think it may be helpful to explain some of the analyses and services which we've undertaken as part of this project. We were actually brought into the project around November of last year, and during that time, you may recall, as I'm sure many of the board members are aware, that the principal intersection here that we've spoken about, 347 and Route 111, has been under construction for some time and has recently been essentially opened with no construction after the widening, implementation of a bus stop along 347, and also some retiming of the traffic signals and new equipment that have been provided in this area. As you're aware, Route 347 and Route 111 is a very important crossroads in the town. It's an intersection of two major arteries, the north-south roadway being Route 111 and the east-west roadway being Route 347. And they converge at an intersection, and one of the mitigation measures or implementations at this intersection has been two near-side, what I would refer to as jug handles, that are upstream of the intersection, which allow any vehicle or motorist that's on Route 347 to complete a turning movement upstream of the actual intersection itself. So what that means is when you come to the intersection proper and you're traveling on east or west 347, you don't complete the movements there at the stop bar, you complete them upstream utilizing these jug handles and then traveling on Route 111 to complete those movements. Now, as part of reviewing the land use development here of the proposed 1,200 square foot convenience store with the gasoline fueling service, which provides 16 fueling positions, what we've done is look very closely at the signal phasing and operation to understand how motorists would come on and off the property should it be redeveloped in this manner. Because I think there were some important points raised with regard to the accessibility of this site and making sure that it would be safe and effective with regard to motorists and patrons coming on and off the property, and then certainly the ability to traverse Route 111 and Route 347 as you're coming down the roadways under the existing and the proposed conditions. Something that's very important to note, this type of use generates the majority of its traffic from pass-by traffic. And what I mean by that is there's such a significant amount of volume that's already traveling through the roadway system today without this site being built and operational, that what happens is as a convenience store and gasoline fueling service use, what tends to happen is the majority of the traffic comes from the traffic already on the roadway system today. These types of users, unlike residential or office buildings, draw their traffic from the traffic that's traveling through this intersection today. When you have different types of uses such as residential and office, those are drawing new traffic from the roadway system, traffic that may not be traveling through this intersection as it is. Having worked on convenience stores and gas stations for the better part of 10 years now, as they've expanded and been redeveloped and essentially evolved throughout the course of time, it's very common that they're located along these corridors to capture right in, right out traffic. And the reason for that is, quite frankly, because it's the most convenient element of traffic that can travel into and out of the site. Route 347 is a median separated highway, so as has been spoken about previously, it's very difficult to travel to this site if you're traveling along Route 347 east. The purpose of this site, certainly in speaking with the developer and thinking about the draw to the property, is to capture three principal modes of motorist journeys essentially along this route. Route 111 southbound, Route 347 westbound, and a critical movement which is actually a transition from Route 111 south to Route 347 west. That's a movement that can be captured by this site, which cannot be captured by a site such as the Hess. The reason for that is because the Hess is located to the north and to the east, that would require a left turn movement in and then likely a left turn movement out, which are not movements, that left turn movement out is actually prohibited. So those principal movements that I've spoken about, that movement in and then potentially out along 347 in the westerly fashion, or someone that's traveling in and then out onto Route 111, and likewise coming from essentially the east, then traveling across the intersection, again, that right in, right out. Those are the principal capture movements. The other movements are captured by other land uses, other types of users that are along the eastbound stretch. The goal here is really to safely accommodate that right turn in and that right turn out movement. Now, to address some of the comments that I think were offered previously with regards to some of the safety concerns, it's very important to take into account the traffic signal phasing that is actually existing today. As you're traveling Route 111 in a southerly fashion, there's obviously a phase that allows for first the left turn movement and then the through movement. That left turn movement cannot be accomplished, as you know, without a left turn arrow. We call that a protected phase. So that's for both directions, either traveling in the northerly fashion or the southerly fashion. That left turn movement is the only movement that is occurring in the intersection at that time. In addition to that, there is no right turn on red movement. At many intersections, you'll find that you can make the right turn on red. What that tends to do is constantly have traffic filling the intersection when there are gaps. So by virtue of the phasing of this intersection, there are a number of gaps in traffic that are provided for both the right turn out movement along Route 111 and the right turn out movement along Route 347. So there's inherent benefits to the way the traffic signal is phased. Now, we're well aware, as providing the traffic impact analysis, that there is queuing that occurs along Route 111 in a southerly direction during that red phase. In fact, what we've submitted to the board, which is dated December 24th, 2012, is a very detailed traffic impact analysis, which included traffic counts at the intersection, also at the upstream jug handles that are located off the page, under an existing condition analysis, with the traffic signal complete, no construction, and the signal operating as it does right now. What we then looked at is a no-build condition without this project built. What would happen in the future should traffic grow 2% a year, generally in keeping with DOT standards, how this intersection would operate. And then further, we looked at a build condition with the project redeveloped and with the proposed access, which we're proposing right in, right out on both frontages. We're not proposing to capture left turn in or left turn out movements. And that is simply by virtue of the fact that we want to be able to capture traffic in a very safe and efficient manner, and those movements would not allow for that, quite frankly. What we found as part of our analysis, and as I mentioned, with the large majority of traffic being passed by in nature, is that approximately 1.5% of the traffic in this intersection would be attributable to this use. Again, very strong pass-by traffic, traffic already on the road being drawn into this site as it completes its either commute to work or on their way home in the evening. Those are the types of motorists that would be coming into and out of this site. It's my opinion that this land use is actually very well suited for this type of intersection because of the fact that it can be supported solely based on right-in, right-out traffic. We've looked at the volumes on the road. The developer and retailer has seen those volumes on the road, and it can be supported. This gas fueling service and the 1,200 square foot convenience store can be supported by that. There's not many uses that can be supported by simply right-in, right-out traffic. So I believe for that reason, we have a very nice balance between the land use and the traffic movements that are being proposed here in terms of having a viable use within the town. As I mentioned, what we found in that build condition is that there would be no significant impact on the operation of the intersection itself. Again, the existing volumes that are traveling through the road would be drawn onto the site in a safe and effective manner. Your right-in, right-out movements are the safest that occur at access driveways. The right-out movement that would occur along Route 111 would require that a gap in traffic be provided. And what that simply means is that once the location or approach goes green, that platoon or stack of vehicles begins to spread out, which then allows for a motorist to enter the traffic stream. Many times when you're upstream of a stop bar, that simply requires that a motorist gives you a courtesy gap. Happens all the time along the roadway system when you're close to intersections such as this. On the southerly, westerly side of the intersection proper, the right turn out movement would occur, quite frankly, again, when there's gaps in traffic, either along Route 111 or Route 347. And the nice thing about this location is it's downstream of the actual intersection. So there is no queuing that backs up to this point. Another important feature of this right turn out movement is the open sight line that is open to a driver as they look back over their shoulder to Route 111 South, and an open sight line as you look to 347. Those are very important features when it comes to the safety of a site, the ability of an access point to facilitate safe and effective movements. So we've looked in a very detailed manner with regard to the actual traffic volume itself, the sight lines that are available, and the movements. And it is my professional opinion, based on the analysis that has been prepared, the counts that have been conducted, that there would be no significant adverse impact. And also, with regard to the adjacent roadway network, these driveways that would operate safely and effectively. Now, that's essentially the off-site analysis that we conduct. In terms of the on-site circulation, that's really where the site engineer and the traffic engineer coordinate and collaborate on creating safe and effective movements into the site. You've heard about the 12 parking stalls, which is in accordance with the town ordinance, also in accordance with the Institute of Transportation Engineers parking generation manual in terms of the parking demand that would be generated by a convenience store of this size. The number of fueling positions, quite frankly, is excellent. You'd have 16 fueling positions available on the site, which is excellent during peak hours for the capacity of those vehicles that are coming on and off the property. Those number of fueling positions essentially provides more capacity to accommodate the demand during those peak hours. In addition to that, a very important feature is the circulation around the pumps. I'm sure the board and the board members are familiar with older gas stations, outdated gas stations, perhaps on a triangular piece of property, very irregular shape, where it's difficult to bypass around vehicles or around the canopy, given some of the features of the site. On this particular site, there's at least a 24-foot aisle around that entire fueling canopy. Just to give you a frame of reference, typically a one-lane roadway or one lane on a highway is about 11 or 12 feet. So that 24 feet provides either 2 lanes in one direction or two-way travel, 1 lane in each direction. So that's an important feature of the on-site circulation. And certainly at the driveways themselves, they're approximately 35 feet wide. Again, more than able to accommodate two-way travel onto and off of the property. So from an off-site perspective and an on-site perspective, I would submit to the board and its experts that the site, again, would have no significant adverse impact on the operation of the off-site and would operate safely and effectively. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Well, let's see if there's anybody in the audience here which is there to speak on this. Have you completed your presentation?
I have, yes.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes there to have any questions on this? All right. I have one question there while you're there. That entrance there coming off of 111 right there, if I remember right, where the house is now that's looking to be rezoned, isn't that where that traffic light is that comes off of the bypass to make the jug handle turn?
Traffic light is located just
Is
off
it
the
further
edge.
up that
It
way?
is, yes. Yes, our property extent, thank you, Chris. The property extent is located just north of essentially where the left turn bay is. And as you can see, the near side jug handle that comes off is to the north of that. There is no influence between the two. There's no
The
friction.
jug handle is there to take traffic from westbound
That's
to
correct.
go southbound on 111,
That is correct.
so that they would come through the intersection right where your driveway is?
No, where they make the turn is upstream of the driveway.
How far?
Approximately 100
I
feet.
see where the jug handle, I've got this small map. So you're upstream there with the traffic light, correct?
That's correct. It's approximately 100 feet, which is about 5 car lengths, about
Okay.
20 feet a car.
Okay, so there'd be no interference with
No.
people coming off of that to make the southbound?
No influence on them.
Okay,
Would the northbound driveway, would that be in only or in and out?
In and out. And because so much of the traffic is passed by,
you can't go, you can't, on the 111, you can't make a turn into the station, correct? No,
that movement would be restricted.
yeah, no, you'll be going over so the only way you can come in is off of 111, into the intersection or into the station, and then if you want to go back out, you got to go around the island and come back out if you want to go southbound there on 111, correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay, and if you're going to go westbound on 347,
Right.
you're going to go out the other driveway.
Right, that's a strong movement. That movement which you
Yep.
just pointed out
Yep.
is strong.
Okay.
More than likely someone
I
will
got it.
travel in and then right out.
Yeah, I didn't know where that traffic light, but now I can see on
That's a
this
good
small
question.
map a little bit better.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're coming out onto Route 111 and you have to make that right, you mentioned you can also make a left or not?
You would not be able to make a left out
No.
of the site.
Okay,
That's correct.
The right turn only?
That would be a right turn only, correct.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If this were to be built as proposed, do you have an opinion as to whether any unsafe or hazardous conditions would be created whatsoever?
I do not believe that any unsafe movements or conditions would be created. And I think an important point that we've mentioned is those restrictions to the driveway movements themselves are very important to be put in place as part of the development.
The planning memo that we have referencing the Hess station says, given the fact that the station, the Hess station, I believe, is set back from the intersection, it appears to operate with minimal impact on traffic movements at this intersection. And I guess that's inferring that the position of your application would be contrary to that.
Well, it's an interesting point, and if you were to look at the Hess's access to Route 111 and to 347, I wouldn't disagree. The fact that it's set back from the intersection proper removes some of the friction that could be created by having a use that's inherently located in that location. However, if you were to look at, for instance, the right turn in and right turn out movement for the Hess, just using that for now, that right turn in movement actually occurs along the deceleration lane for this jug handle. The right out movement actually requires that you either cross that right in to continue on 347 or come into that jug handle. So the intersection, in my opinion, having reviewed a number of intersections and jug handles, is the intersection is really the jug handles inclusive of the central point as well. So that has some friction and some impact on what's happening to the north and to the east here. And the only restriction that I'm aware of is the left turn out. So you can actually make the left turn in from Route 111 to the Hess, which is a movement that it requires that you cross 2 lanes of traffic very close to the signalized intersection of the jug handle. I think the way this site is being developed or proposed to be developed with right in, right out traffic as far removed to the property extents as possible is the best way to develop this site. If that access point were located perhaps across from 347 or in the heart of the intersection proper, I may have a different opinion about that. But what we've tried to do here is limit the movements, limit the friction and the conflicts, move those driveways as far away from the intersection as we can.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I have a couple of questions for the attorney.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm all right,
It
thanks.
looks like right next door to the proposed zone change is neighborhood business or office, is it?
On the north side?
Yeah.
It's a medical office.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's zoned OB, that's right.
But it seems surrounded by NB. Am I reading this correctly? The proposed site? There's NB on both sides of it?
NB on both sides of the
Yeah.
R10 parcel.
Yes.
There's NB here,
Right.
which is the southern
Right.
property we're proposing to join, and then I believe there's NB across the street as well.
Okay. And then there's OB or office.
That would be on the north side here.
Right. Okay. And then how much money is your client prepared to invest at this site?
Mr. Singh is here. He can certainly testify
Yeah.
for himself in that regard if you'd ask him to step up.
If you know, or if you want him to tell us.
I mean, I'm happy to have Harry come up and let you know because nobody testifies better about Harry's applications than Harry, so.
Sure.
Harry Singh, President, Board of Management, and the owner of developments. This is not obviously first site we be developing. We own and operate and built somewhere about 70 sites through our last 25 years under different flags with Mobile, Exxon, Sunoco, Gulf, and BPs. Site like this in size of acre plus, as we put very serious money into these sites, including the stoneworks, granite marbles, 11-foot ceilings, beautiful stonework on the buildings itself. You're looking at somewhere about $2 to $2.5 million.
$2 to $2.5 million? Okay. And does anybody have any idea how much tax revenue to the town is being currently generated as opposed to anticipation of this project being completed? How much tax revenue to the town would be generated? Does anybody know that?
I believe we have not have the number, but we obviously expecting.
Oh, I know it's supposed to be a lot more, but I just
It'll
want
be a lot more,
yeah.
usually in terms of 2 to 3 times in average cases. But I'm not sure for a number for this case.
We can get that off. We can get that off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let me see if the title report I have has a tax search in it.
SINGH.
Sure.
Not a small report.
If I recall my leasing documents, I believe the numbers are $28,000 as currently. And
Currently?
I'm just giving you my memory.
Okay, currently
Currently,
you
yeah.
pay that. And
That's approximately the number.
And can you give us an idea in one of your other stations close by how much you pay?
We have station we recently built on 347 in Crystal Brook Hollow Road in Mount Sinai. I believe the numbers coming to range 68,000.
Okay, so like you said,
Yeah,
3 or 4
but
times.
we
Okay.
recently built, so the updated tax roll will be in probably this quarter.
Okay, fair
And
enough. That's fine.
The average tax rate, the sites to be built in Suffolk County in the area of Hauppauge and Smith Towns, it ranges anywhere of about $48,000 to $68,000 range.
And you said
It's a
4 full-time jobs?
Minimum for probably 6 to 8 jobs. 4 is the minimum jobs.
Has the planning department heard any opposition from the surrounding community to this application?
No.
Thank you, that's all I have.
And just to also let you know, you probably be aware of a site we operate not far from here. We do own that Sunoco Station, 560 Middle Country Road. That's the site we're currently operating if you need for reference. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ashman, if I just may clarify, I found the 2 tax bills which were noted in the title report, which was prepared in connection with the lease on the site. The numbers are rather low. I think between the 2 lots, you're talking about, I believe, $230
A year,
a year,
as opposed to possibly 40,
as
50, or
opposed
60?
to 40, 50, 60,000.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the board? Happy to.
All right. Members of the board. What's your wishes? Want to refer this?
We normally adjourn for an on-site. If the
Wouldn't there be
group
at some point also a recommendation from the planning department?
Well, we normally give you a recommendation after you're on-site, yes.
Right. We don't have that.
You don't have any
either of those.
recommendation here?
No, you don't have a recommendation yet. We normally anticipate that you're going to do an on-site, and then we prepare your recommendation.
And you have traffic safety recommendations and all that?
Well, we are waiting for traffic, yes. We gave the report to traffic.
Well, we can close the hearing now, though.
Yes, you may.
Motion to close the hearing on an on-site?
In the matter of the zone change petition 2012-06 Bola LI Operating Corp., motion to adjourn for an on-site inspection.
No, not adjourning. Close, to close
Motion to close
the meeting
meeting
with an on-site.
with an
Okay.
on-site inspection.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
The
Thank
hearing
you,
is
everyone.
closed.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else here?
Mr. Chairman, one last item on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
No,
Oh, adoption of the minutes.
Adoption of the minutes for the planning board meetings for October 3rd and December 5th, 2012.
I move that we adopt the minutes of October 3rd, 2012.
Second?
December 5th, 2012.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.